Providing people with joy and happiness are two acts that are most oftentimes overlooked. You can do that through simply saying hello, inquiring about someone's day, and in another way by giving them a delicious treat, which is what we do here at Spotlight Cookies. Not only do we brighten up people's day by giving them delicious cookies, but we also do this through outreach events. So, how did this all begin? Well, in the summer of 2017, I was a Sunday school teacher at my local church, and I was so inspired by the community programs within the church that I decided to start my own in which I can give back to my local community as well as friends and family. So I decided for my creativity final project to use the creative processes outlined by Julia Cameron, Mihai Cheeks and Mihai, Adam Grant, and Kina Lesky in order to increase cookie sales as well as broaden my audience through advertising. So in order to better walk you through my creative process, I have decided to break it up into 3 parts. Number 1 being the beginning, number 2 the middle, and number 3 the end. So let's start off with the beginning of my creative process. So I decided to begin with Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. As we began this final project, I really wanted to awaken my inner creative. So I decided to start with spiritual chiropractic as well as creative recovery. Now, Julia Cameron describes these 2 processes as nurturing your inner creative. So I did this through one way in which she described as replenishing your creative pond. She describes our creativity basically as a pond that we have within ourselves. And through being creative, we're fishing and taking all of the life out of our pond. In order to continue to be creative, we have to do things to replenish our pond. And one way she says we could do this is through an artist date. Now she describes an artist date as it has to be solitary, and also you have to dig deep on these dates and really explore your inner thoughts and some things that make you feel uncomfortable. So I did this through starting out my final project by journaling and really exploring my inner self. After I did that, I decided to take a look at Mihai Cheeks and Mihai's book, Creativity, in which he discusses the systematic approach to creativity. Now, in the systematic approach to creativity, there are 3 different parts. And the 3 different parts are the domain, the field, and the individual. So as I was going through my own creative process, I saw that there are actually 2 different domains that relate to my cookie business. And those being the business of domain as well as the business of culinary arts. So when I was looking at the business of domain, I found that the field would be those who are experts in the field of business. And I looked to the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. And I also briefly dipped into the domain of culinary arts, in which I was trying to figure out who would be the experts in this domain of culinary arts. And I found a few renowned pastry chefs, as well as I looked into some culinary academia with the Culinary Institute of America at Hyde Park. But I decided to focus most of my research on the business of domain due to the fact that that's where my true passions and interests lie. So as I was exploring the domain of business, I decided to learn more about, really learn more from the professors at the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. And I did this through watching lectures, free lectures on YouTube in order to hear what some of the professors had to say on the process of building a business. So I was able to actually watch one YouTube video on entrepreneurship in which he discussed some key elements that everyone should really meditate on when trying to build a business. And those were to focus on one area of innovation in order to truly be successful. So after after listening to what the Wharton School of Business professors had to say and trying to figure out which area of innovation I was going to focus on, I decided to focus on advertisement, being that I feel like when it comes to analyzing the creative process, advertisement would be a great way to be creative and really input some out there ideas. So I decided to focus the rest of my time on looking at new and innovative ways to advertise my cookies. Which brings me to the second point, the middle portion of my creative process. So when it came to advertisement, I actually had two ideas that I was grappling with, either doing a promotional commercial or a promotional jingle. Now for the promotional commercial, I had ideas of doing a Christmas commercial in which two young children would be sleeping in bed, their parents wrapping presents, their parents waking them up on Christmas morning, but instead of running for the presents, they would run straight past the tree into the kitchen to eat some Spotlight cookies. That was my first idea, and the second idea was a promotional jingle, in which it would be a short jingle, probably made up of one verse, in which it could actually be applicable to all seasons, unlike my promotional commercial, which would have been simply for the Christmas season. But after grappling with these two ideas, I decided to go with the promotional jingle because I do have a little bit of experience of having some fun with writing a few songs in high school, so I thought this would be a great way to continue on with that fun of making jingles. So, as I was going on with making this jingle, I did progress a little bit. I found a perfect background music for the jingle. I also wrote maybe a verse and a half, but I came into a mental block. I couldn't think of any more lyrics. I started doubting the quality of the lyrics that I had already written. So I decided to go back and look at Keena Lesky's A Storm of Creativity to try to help me forward with my creative process. And in that, I found that Keena Lesky was talking about how we must unlearn all of our preconceptions in order to truly be creative and innovative. And through that, I saw that I was using the same songwriting techniques that I used in high school, and that I wasn't being very innovative in my process. And actually, Keena Lesky talks about that, because she talks about two ways in which that you could actually get rid of preconceptions. One being that you could solve a problem that you've never before seen, and the other being that you could solve a familiar problem but using a never before used method. So that's what I decided to try to do, was to write this jingle but using a method that I never had used before. So in that, I decided to research the creative process of some well-known rappers that they use while creating their songs. So I took myself to YouTube, I Googled J. Cole's creative process in writing raps. So I actually found that J. Cole used the morning pages that Julia Cameron suggests in her book, The Artist's Way. Now, the morning pages are meant to clear your mind and unload all of the thoughts and feelings that you're having in order to free up your mind for creative thoughts. So through this process, although I wasn't enlightened with new lyrics and with the jingle, I actually was enlightened to a new way in order to better increase sales as well as advertise my cookies. Which brings me to the third part of this presentation, the end. So after working on the morning pages and my creativity started flowing and my mind was open up to new ideas, I thought instead of tackling advertising, instead let me focus on ways in which I could build up sales. So I thought, what if during the summer I hosted children's parties in which it would be cookies and ice cream themed. So I would arrive at the party, come prepared with cookies that are already pre-made, and then join the kids around, make ice cream with them, also teaching them the physics behind ice cream. And then another fun idea that I had was to build an obstacle course and actually have the children compete while the ice cream was churning and freezing, and then to end the birthday party with enjoying a delicious treat. Now I thought that this would be a great idea, both because it was innovative, it would be bringing together a lot of ideas, both with the ice cream making and talking about the physics of freezing and of mixing all the ingredients together, as well as the obstacle course would just be a fun way for the kids to get out energy. And then we would end by enjoying the delicious treats that we made. And I thought that this would both be an affordable way for parents to actually give their children a great birthday party, as well as it would just be a great way to just bring about happiness and joy to the children. But after further analyzing this idea, I thought that it was too chaotic, too many things going on, and also it wasn't very applicable to a real world situation. It would be very hard in order to make this happen. So then I had to go back to the basics of what the Spotlight Cookies was all about. And it's all about giving back to the community and trying to help those and bring joy. Therefore, instead of going with that chaotic idea with multiple moving parts, I simply decided to try to host a telethon event in the summer. So this is where the peak of my creativity came in, and my final idea that I decided to stick with would be hosting a telethon in my local community in Waterbury, Connecticut, in which all the proceeds would go to raising money for Waterbury Health Access Program, in which they provide money for those lacking insurance, as well as those who have minimal insurance and still aren't able to pay for their medical needs. So when I was grappling with this idea of hosting a telethon and thinking of all the elements that would go into it, I knew that I needed to advertise, find a venue, as well as find talent. And advertising, I could do that simply through selling cookies from May on. I decided that this telethon could occur in August, nearing the end of the summer and the end of my time home. So once I got home in May, I would begin selling cookies and just spreading the word around town that I would be doing a telethon in order to raise money for a great cause. Then it comes to finding a venue. Now, I actually went to an arts magnet school in my hometown in which they have a stage and a lot of equipment that I could use in order to host this event. So I decided that I would reach out to my high school, let them know what I've been doing these past few years and this project that I want to put on, and hopefully they would support me and allow me to use some of their facilities. And then it would come to finding talent. Now, once again, I went to an arts magnet high school, so I know a lot of people who have a lot of talents when it comes to playing instruments and singing, and also magic. So I decided that I would reach out to a lot of those who I went to high school with and ask if they would be willing to help me out with this process. So that was the peak of my creative process, coming up with ways in which I could host this telethon. And I'm just want to thank you so much for listening to this presentation. And I just want to leave you with this, that it is so easy to bring joy and happiness to others simply through delicious treats.